The city never truly sleeps. At night, the streets take on a different life. The neon glow of distant signs flickers over piles of discarded trash, broken bottles, and abandoned belongings. Rats scurry in the alleyways. Sirens wail in the distance, swallowed by the endless hum of a world that moves too fast to care. But tonight, something was different. A sound, so faint it was almost lost in the wind. A cry, soft, weak, desperate. Something alive. Something helpless. Rex was used to silence. Once he had been a trained canine, a protector, a loyal officer. He had spent years saving lives. Then humans abandoned him. He was too damaged. No longer useful. He didn't understand what that meant. All he knew was one day he had a family, and the next he was alone. For months he wandered. The world had been cruel to him. But tonight, none of that mattered. Because tonight, something needed saving. His ears twitched, his sharp instincts cutting through the layers of city noise. That cry, he knew that sound. Not an animal. Not prey. Something smaller. Weaker. Something human. His body tensed. His pulse quickened. He moved. Rex followed the sound, his paws crunching softly over broken pavement. The air was thick with the stench of garbage, rotting food, and rusting metal. He pushed through an overturned trash can, sniffing, searching. And then he froze. A bundle lay crumpled between black garbage bags. It was tiny, wrapped in something thin. Rex moved closer, nudging it with his nose. The scent of human skin, blood, fear. He inhaled sharply. And then the baby moved. A tiny, frail hand twitched. A soft whimper. A small gasp. The child was alive. Barely. Rex's ears flattened. The baby was too cold. Too still. Something inside Rex shifted. The same instinct that once made him run into danger. That once made him stand between bullets and his handler. It came back. He had to act. Rex gently nudged the baby again. No response. He lowered himself, pressing his thick fur against the tiny body, trying to transfer warmth. Then his ears perked. A sound. Footsteps. Fast. Rushed. Rex snapped his head up. Someone was watching. A figure, dark clothes, a hood pulled low, standing at the edge of the alley. The moment Rex turned, they ran. His first instinct was to chase. To stop them. But then the baby let out a weak cry. Rex made his choice. The baby came first. No one had ever protected him. But now, he would protect this child. Carefully, gently, he opened his powerful jaws. He took the baby's cloth softly, delicately, his teeth barely touching skin. He had carried wounded men before. He had dragged injured officers to safety. But never something this small, this fragile. He lifted the child. And then he ran. His paws pounded against the concrete, weaving through the shadows of the city. Where could he go? He had been abandoned. He had no home, no place of safety. Then, instinct took over. There was one place, a place of warmth, of healing, a place where humans helped the wounded, a place he remembered from long ago, the hospital. He had seen ambulances, the red flashing lights, the smell of antiseptic and warm hands. That's where the baby needed to be. His breath came fast. His legs burned, but he pushed forward. The city streets blurred past him. A car honked. Someone shouted. A woman gasped, clutching her purse as he sprinted past. People turned to stare. A dog carrying a baby? Impossible. But Rex never slowed. He reached the hospital doors. They slid open. And for the first time in months, he stepped into the light. Inside, a nurse looked up. Her eyes widened. A dog. A filthy, stray German shepherd. And then, she saw what was in his mouth. Her heart stopped. A baby. She screamed. The hospital erupted into chaos. And in that moment, no one, not the doctors, not the security guards, not the other patients, could believe what they were seeing. A dog. A K9. A stray. Carrying a newborn into a hospital. And when they checked the baby, that's when the real shock began. The automatic doors of the hospital slid open. For a moment, Rex stood frozen in the glow of fluorescent lights. His body was a mess of mud and blood, his paws trembling from exhaustion. But he had made it, and in his jaws, a life hanging in the balance. The hospital lobby was calm. A receptionist flipped through paperwork at the front desk. A janitor mopped the floor absent-mindedly near the waiting area. A few patients sat in chairs, scrolling through their phones. Just another quiet night. Then a gasp. A nurse, Emily, looked up. At first, she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. A dog. A German shepherd, filthy, soaked, panting, standing in the entrance. That alone was strange enough. But when she saw what was in his mouth, her breath stopped. The clipboard in her hand slipped, clattering to the floor. Time seemed to freeze. Gasps filled the air. A woman in the waiting area dropped her coffee. A security guard reached for his radio. A doctor turned in shock. And then chaos erupted. "Oh my God, is that a baby?" Emily ran forward. Her heart pounded. She barely registered the voices shouting behind her, the ringing phones, the panic calls for help. All she could see was the fragile body of the newborn, hanging motionless in the dog's jaws. Her medical training kicked in. She had seen many things in her career, but nothing like this. She dropped to her knees in front of Rex, her hands trembling. "Give him to me," she whispered. "Please." For a split second, Rex hesitated. His muscles were tense, his eyes locked onto hers. Then he stepped forward. With the gentleness of a mother setting down her newborn, Rex placed the baby into Emily's arms. And then he sat, silent, watching, waiting, as if he understood what came next. The baby was cold, ice cold. His tiny body barely moved. Emily's hands shook as she pressed her fingers to the baby's chest. Nothing. No movement. No heartbeat. Her stomach dropped. "No." She turned. "I need help. Now." Doctors and nurses came running. A crash cart was wheeled in. "We're losing him. Get him into the ER." Emily raced down the hallway, cradling the baby against her chest. Rex moved to follow. But before he could take a step, a security guard blocked his path. "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what the hell is this dog doing in here?" Rex growled low. "Get him out of here," another staff member shouted. For the first time, Emily hesitated. She looked back at Rex. He was shaking, his breathing labored, his paws unsteady. And then she saw it, the trail of blood he had left behind. "Wait." The guard frowned. "What?" "He's hurt," Emily said. "Look at him." Silence. Rex wasn't just exhausted. He was injured. Badly. But he had never stopped moving. Even now, even in pain, he was still staring at the hallway where the baby had disappeared. He was waiting. Emily knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy," she murmured, running her hands through his fur. Her fingers brushed something wet. Blood. Not from the baby. From him. She pulled her hand back, her stomach tightening. There was a long, jagged wound along his leg. It was deep. Still fresh. Had he been attacked? Had someone tried to stop him from bringing the baby here? Tears burned behind her eyes. What had this dog been through? "Somebody get a vet in here." Emily yelled. A security officer scoffed. "Ma'am, it's a stray." Emily snapped her head up. "Does he look like just a stray to you?" Silence. She turned to the room. "Does this look like any dog you've ever seen before?" Her voice shook with anger. "He carried a baby through the streets and brought him here. And he's bleeding. And he still won't leave until he knows the child is safe." More silence. A doctor nodded slowly. "I'll call the vet," he murmured. As Rex was gently led away for treatment, Emily finally took a breath. The baby was in emergency care. The dog was getting help. Everything should have been settling. But then, the hospital alarms blared. A code alert flashed on the monitor. An infant was reported missing. Stolen. Emily froze. She turned slowly toward the receptionist, who was reading the details. And then she gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. She looked back toward the emergency room, where the baby was being treated. And then she looked at Rex. Her stomach twisted. Because she knew. This wasn't just an abandoned baby. This baby was never supposed to be found. And Rex? Rex had just ruined someone's plan. The hospital hadn't been this chaotic in years. Doctors and nurses rushed to stabilize the baby. A vet was called for Rex. Security was on edge. And now, the emergency code alert flashed across every screen. A missing infant. A kidnapped child. And he was right here. Alive. Rescued. By a dog. But no one knew how deep this really went. Not yet. Emily stood frozen in front of the receptionist, her pulse pounding in her ears. The baby's identity was no longer a mystery. But the real question was, who had tried to get rid of him? She turned slowly, her gaze shifting to the hallway where Rex was being treated. Was it a coincidence that this stray, this injured, bleeding, half-starved dog, had found the one child the entire city was searching for? Or had Rex just stumbled into something bigger than anyone realized? Emily wasn't sure what terrified her more. Inside the hospital's temporary vet station, Rex lay completely still. The veterinarian, an older man named Dr. Palmer, worked carefully. "Poor guy's exhausted," he murmured. "Dehydrated. And this leg." He gestured to the deep, fresh wound along Rex's thigh. "That's not from a fight with another dog," Dr. Palmer muttered. "That's from a knife." Emily's breath caught. A knife? Someone had tried to hurt him. Someone had attacked him. But why? Was it because of the baby? Had someone tried to stop Rex from saving him? A security officer burst into the room. "You're going to want to see this," he muttered. Emily and Dr. Palmer exchanged glances. Moments later, they stood in the hospital's security office, staring at the grainy footage on the screen. The video showed the hospital's entrance. They watched as Rex appeared, carrying the baby. But it wasn't Rex that made Emily's stomach twist. It was what happened before that. A shadowy figure stood at the end of the street. They were watching. They stood there for at least 10 seconds, staring as Rex stepped into the hospital. And then they ran. Emily's blood ran cold. "Who is that?" she whispered. The officer paused the screen, zooming in. The image was blurry, but one thing was clear. The person in the video knew exactly what they were doing. They had been waiting, watching, and when they saw Rex deliver the baby, they vanished. Like they knew their plan had just been destroyed. Emily didn't realize she was shaking until her phone buzzed in her pocket. An unknown number. She hesitated. Then she answered. A woman's voice. Hollow. Flat. "You have something that doesn't belong to you." Emily's heart stopped. The call disconnected. 20 minutes later, the hospital doors flew open. A woman burst inside, her face pale, her breath ragged. Her eyes scanned the room frantically until she saw Emily. And in Emily's arms, her child. The mother collapsed. A sound tore from her throat, a sob so raw it shook the room. Emily could barely hold back her own tears as she gently placed the baby in the woman's trembling hands. I thought he was gone," the woman whispered. "They told me." She stopped, swallowing hard. Emily's brow furrowed. The mother hesitated. Her gaze darted toward the doors, as if she was afraid. "They told me I'd never see him again." The woman sat shaking in the hospital chair, clutching her baby against her chest. Emily knelt beside her, her voice gentle. "Who took him?" The mother's hands tightened protectively around the child. She hesitated, then whispered something so quiet Emily almost missed it. It wasn't a random kidnapping. Emily's heart pounded. "What do you mean?" The mother's gaze flickered to the hallway where Rex had been taken. "That dog," she whispered. "How did he find him?" Emily's stomach dropped. Because the real question wasn't how Rex found the baby. The real question was, why was Rex near that alley in the first place? And then Emily realized something terrifying. Rex had been attacked before he got to the baby, meaning whoever hurt him already knew the baby was there. Before Emily could process what she had just learned, Dr. Palmer rushed into the room. His face was ashen. He held up a small electronic device, a microchip scanner. "We scanned him," Dr. Palmer said breathlessly. "This dog." Emily stood up. "What about him?" Dr. Palmer swallowed hard. "This isn't just a stray dog." Emily's heart pounded. This is a K-9 police unit. Silence. He was a search and rescue dog for the department. But he was declared dead 2 months ago. The room spun. Emily stared at the vet, her hands trembling. Dead? How could Rex be dead if he was standing right here? And then the mother gasped. Because she knew exactly who Rex had belonged to. The hospital was no longer a place of healing. It had become a battleground. A place where secrets refused to stay buried. Where a mother held her stolen child. Where a dog, once declared dead, had returned to expose a truth no one saw coming. And now, someone was coming to silence them all. Emily's hand shook. A K-9 unit, she whispered. Declared dead. Dr. Palmer nodded slowly. This isn't just some stray, he said. Rex was part of a special operations team. Highly trained. One of the best. Emily's mind raced. If Rex had been a police dog, then why was he on the streets? Why was his existence erased? And most importantly, why was he at that alley, the exact place where the baby had been dumped? Then the mother spoke. Her voice was small, shaken. He was my husband's partner. Emily froze. What? The woman clutched the baby tighter. My husband was a cop. And Rex was his partner. The room fell into complete silence. Emily's breath felt heavy in her chest. The baby in the woman's arms? He wasn't just a kidnapped child. He was the son of a murdered officer. The mother's voice shook as she spoke. My husband, he uncovered something. Something he wasn't supposed to. He told me he had evidence, something that could bring down powerful people. Emily's stomach twisted. What kind of evidence? The woman hesitated. Corruption, she whispered. Emily's heart dropped. The mother's hands trembled. The night before my husband was supposed to turn in the evidence, he never came home. A beat of silence. Emily swallowed hard. What happened to him? The mother's eyes filled with tears. They told me it was an accident. A robbery gone wrong. But I knew the truth. She inhaled sharply. They killed him. And they took Rex. Emily felt her knees go weak. Killed? A K-9 unit declared dead? And now that same dog had returned? There was no way this was a coincidence. Then, the mother spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. They told me my baby was dead, too. Emily's breath caught. Dead? Her heart slammed against her ribs. She looked at the baby, alive, breathing, and then at Rex, his tired eyes filled with something deeper than instinct. He had known. He had recognized the scent of his partner's bloodline. That's why he saved the baby. Because this wasn't just an abandoned child. This was his handler's son. And someone had tried to erase them both. The hospital intercom buzzed. A voice crackled through the speaker. Security to the front entrance. We have an unidentified presence. Emily felt her stomach drop. She turned. Through the glass hospital doors, she saw them. Men in dark suits. Not police. Not FBI. Something else. They weren't here to ask questions. They were here to clean up a mess. And they were looking right at the mother and her child. Emily's heart pounded. She turned back to Rex. He was already standing, despite the pain, the exhaustion, the blood seeping from his leg. He knew what was coming, and he knew what he had to do. For the first time that night, he didn't wait for orders. He didn't need them, because some loyalties never die. The men moved fast, too fast. Emily grabbed the mother's arm. G.O., she hissed. The mother clutched her baby and ran. But before the men could follow, Rex moved. He stepped forward, blocking the only path to them. His ears flattened, his body tensed. And for the first time that night, he bared his teeth. A low, deadly growl rumbled in his chest. A warning, a promise. The men stopped. One of them pulled a gun. And that's when Rex lunged. The hospital lobby was deathly silent. Every breath was a countdown. Every second felt stretched into eternity. The mother clutched her baby, her hands trembling, her heart pounding like war drums. Emily stood frozen, her body locked in place between fear and fight. And at the center of it all, Rex, a dog that should have been dead, A dog that had defied every odd. A dog who now stood between life and death for the last time. The men in dark suits didn't speak. They didn't have to. They had come to clean up loose ends. No emotion. No hesitation. One of them stepped forward. His hand reached into his jacket. A flash of black metal. A gun. Emily's breath caught. No. Her body tensed. Her instincts screamed at her to move, to run, to do something. But Rex had already decided. He lowered his head, muscles coiled like a spring. A predator's stance. A warrior's final stand. His growl deepened, the rumble vibrating through the floor. And then, he launched. The man's gun fired. The sound split the air like thunder. Emily screamed. The mother turned away, shielding her child. And Rex never stopped. The bullet grazed his side, but he was already airborne. His teeth sank deep into the attacker's wrist. A cry of pain and panic. The gun clattered to the floor. Blood splattered against the cold tile. The other men moved. One reached for another weapon. But they had made a mistake. Because Rex was not alone. A sudden explosion of movement. Doctors and nurses, silent witnesses, no longer. Security guards drew their batons. The hospital staff rushed forward. A moment ago, Rex had been fighting alone. Now, the entire hospital stood with him. A security guard tackled one of the men before he could reach his gun. A nurse grabbed a defibrillator and slammed it against another attacker's chest. Emily snatched the fallen gun, her hands shaking as she pointed it at the last man standing. "You're done." And in that moment it was clear, this wasn't just a fight for survival. This was a fight for justice, for truth, for a hero who had already given too much. Paw Prints, if you're still watching, I know you felt it too. The adrenaline, the justice, the sacrifice. But this story isn't over. Not for Rex. Not for heroes like him. And not for the people who believe in their courage. Hit that subscribe button now. Because stories like this, they deserve to be told. And next time, I'll be bringing you another tale that will leave you breathless. The man hesitated. He glanced at Rex, who was still standing, bleeding, hurt, but unbreakable. Then sirens, flashing red and blue outside the glass doors. The police were here. The men knew it was over. They dropped their weapons. One by one, they surrendered. But for Rex, it wasn't over yet. Emily turned, her eyes immediately searching for him. Rex was still standing. But something was wrong. His legs trembled. Blood seeped from his side, pooling on the white floor. His breathing was shallow. His eyes, once fierce and determined, began to fade. Emily rushed to him. "Rex. No, stay with me." The mother knelt beside them, her baby safe in her arms. Tears streamed down her face. "Rex, please. You saved him. You saved all of us. Just hold on a little longer." But Rex had given everything. He had fought. He had protected. He had found his partner's son. And now, he was finally at peace. With a final, slow breath, he lowered his head and closed his eyes. The news spread like wildfire. Mysterious dog saves stolen infant. Heroic canine gives life to protect a child. A warrior's last mission. Rex's story was everywhere. People gathered outside the hospital, laying down flowers, pictures, candles, tributes to a hero who had no voice, but spoke louder than words ever could. The city wept. The world mourned. But they also celebrated. Because Rex had done something no one else could. He had defied death itself. He had found justice. And he had proven, beyond all doubt, that some heroes have 4 legs. Months passed. The mother and her baby were safe. The corrupt forces were exposed. And one day, Emily visited the cemetery. She placed a medal on a small headstone. It wasn't just any medal. It was a medal of honor, one usually reserved for human officers. But Rex had been more than a dog. He had been a brother, a soldier, a guardian. She smiled through her tears and whispered, "Thank you." Then, the sound of paws. She turned. A young German shepherd pup sat a few feet away, tilting his head. Emily laughed softly. Looks like we've got another hero in the making. And as the pup trotted toward her, Rex's legacy began again. This wasn't just a story. This was a journey, a warrior's mission, a battle for justice, and most importantly, a testament to loyalty, courage, and the unbreakable bond between humans and their dogs. Some heroes wear capes. Some heroes wear badges. And some heroes just have fur and a heart bigger than the world. Rex gave everything to protect the ones he loved. And now, his legacy will never be forgotten. But let me ask you this. Speech Balloon, have you ever experienced a moment where a dog's loyalty left you speechless? Was it a time they protected you? A moment they saved the day? Or maybe just the way they loved you unconditionally? Paw Prints, share your story in the comments. And if this tale touched your heart, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another story that reminds us why dogs truly are angels on earth. Turn on notifications, because next time I'll be telling you about a dog who ran into a burning building, and what he found inside will leave you shaken. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe now. Because stories like this, you don't want to miss them. Dog Red Heart Fire.